Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Here in this phenomenal race, Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening everyone and welcome back to the PSGL YouTube channel for round number 3 of this PCT Tier 2 season. Last time out in Bahrain we saw an epic battle go right down to the wire with quite a controversial ending. We'll get onto that in a minute's time, but for now we're headed to the birthplace of Formula 1 where the first F1 World Championship race was held all the way back in 1950. I'm of course talking about Silverstone, where years of facelifts and changes, it's become a high-speed circuit. It's flowing, it's long, it's got fast corners and plenty of places to overtake. Will this classic circuit produce a classic race? We'll have to wait and see. My name is Dan Field and today I'm being joined by Nathan Richards. Nathan, how are you doing?
I'm great. Yet again, excited for another great race here in Tier 2. The last two races were ecstatic. This race, Britain, probably one of my favourite tracks of the season in general, because it is just a great racing track. So I'm yet again excited to see what we can get from this race. With what we've seen in the past two, this should bring hopefully something great. I don't think anything can beat the first two races, but if we can get close to that, that'd be great. And also, I've noticed we've got everyone getting into the lobby. So yeah, this should be a very interesting evening.
Oh wow, it's good to see that everyone's active, getting in it as soon as possible, because normally we have to go through a long procedure of who's not in the lobby, who needs to click spectate. Do I need to click spectate? I don't. We're okay on that front, but yeah, really looking forward for this race. We can have a little talk about this circuit, and one of my favourite things is that just every corner has a story. Of course, Cops has got Hamilton versus Verstappen in 2021, and then Chapel's got Verstappen's overtake on Rosberg all the way back in 2016, and Club's got the iconic through goes Hamilton bit. You know, everywhere you look around this circuit, there's a story behind it, and I think every Formula 1 circuit should be like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, obviously, for me being a Brit myself, I love the track anyway, as it's my home circuit, but still, you know, it is such, and obviously it's had many changes through the years as well, compared to, like, some tracks are pretty much the same, whereas this track, I don't even know some of the old circuit layouts, because it was that different back in the past. I remember there used to be some sort of bridge, which I didn't know existed. So yeah, the circuit's had many renovations, many changes, and there's been many different drivers win here over the years. And also, one thing to notice is that we've got a new driver tonight, which I didn't know until just. Declan Barrett.
Declan Barrett, who I've never heard of Declan Barrett before.
Okay. From Xbox.
Oh, okay. I've never seen Smokey race really. I didn't know he had a PC. I've just seen on like on clips and such of on Twitter, you know, in the Xbox lobbies. He's always near the front, so being a very interesting race, I think, to see what one of the new faces can do. I think before we'll head into this one, we'll just have a quick look though at the championship standings. Of course, Mirko Soriano, you'll notice, is on a slightly few more points than he should be after Bahrain because of a few stewards' inquiries. We'll get onto that in a minute. Mirko Soriano then on 28 points, leading the way in the championship, with Jack West in behind him on 22, and then Joseph Loke with a win in Bahrain on 16. Andrei Tarabukin is 4th on 10 points. Joost Noordijk is in 5th position with 8 points. Same goes for Legend Rosenberg and Max Wiesel. Then 8th position is Xander Van Dijken on 6. Rounding out the top 10 on 5 points is Ben Jabberconny and Duncan Hofland. Then in 11th position is Jan Halliday on 4 points. Same goes for Daniel Koyer in 12th. Then slow start to the season for Chanakinchi and Floris Vyers. They're currently both on 3 points in 13th and 14th. Tycho Hardy in 15th on 2 points. And then finishing it out for all of the drivers that have scored points so far this season, we have Tamas Gal and Timur Zelenkovic on 1 point in 16th and 17th. Still yet to see Jona Martins this season, and Harvey Cohen and Kemal Stakura yet to get off the mark. In terms of the constructor standings, we've got Ferrari on 28 points with double Haas's points actually. It's been a joint effort for Joost Noordijk and Xander Van Dijken to get their 14 points, but Mirko Soriano scored a lot of them for Ferrari. Alpine sitting in 3rd position on the same amount of points as Mercedes, and it's a little bit of a typographical error there. It should be Aston Martin in 5th, then McLaren in 6th, and Alfa Romeo in 7th. 8th would be Red Bull, and then in 9th and 10th is of course AlphaTauri and Williams, who are yet to score any points this season. But so far, it seems like we have the clear leader in Mirko Soriano, who is feeling, Nathan, a little bit hard done by what happened last week.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't blame him either, because he was easily on course for that when he would have got Legend into the corner. But obviously, the stewards thought, right, Legend's in the wrong, so obviously, we got, I think it was a 3-second time penalty, dropped him down to P5. So he only took 6 points away, which is also not very good for Legend himself, because obviously Legend, with the pace he had in Bahrain, you'd be thinking, oh, he's going to be one of them that could be fighting for the championship. Well, he's sitting 20 points back from the championship leader, so he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to try and break that, gap that Mirko Soriano's got to pretty much the rest of the field. But a surprise in the standings for me is Floris and Tamas. Obviously, Tamas has missed the race, and Floris had an incident in the first race. But I'm very surprised to see those two down on 3 points and 1 point. So I thought they'd be in the top 5 in the championship maybe by now. So they've got a lot of work to do throughout the rest of the season, but I think, if they can put the head down now, got another, I think, 6 or 7 rounds to go, they should be able to try and make something work.
Yeah, still plenty of time this season. It is the early doors. We've only had 2 races so far, so, what can Britain hold? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Bahrain is a circuit that also drivers really just don't enjoy doing, but Great Britain seems to be on the other end of the spectrum. It's one of the drivers' favourites, certainly one of my favourites to drive, just because of how fast and how flowing it is. I really don't like those technical circuits, and Great Britain is all about just what corners can you take the fastest, and that is one thing that I absolutely love about it, and I think that all the other drivers will as well. I'm just quickly going to head into the game scene so you can see who is in what seat. We've got in the Red Bull the normal lineup of Tamas Gal and Ben Jabberconny. Ferrari is Mirko Soriano, championship leader at the minute, and Jona Martins making his PC debut. And then Mercedes is Floris, not PC debut, debut this season. Sorry, I'm blanking at the minute. Jona Martin's been around forever at this point. Then we got in the Mercedes, Floris Vyers and Max Wiesel. Alpine is Timur Zelenkovic and Andrei Tarabukin. Legend Rosenberg in the McLaren. He's yet to get a teammate at the minute. Alfa Romeo is Matthew Alder, who was in the Williams, I believe, last week, but is now in the Alfa Romeo as a reserve driver. And then Declan Barrett also here this evening. Very excited to see how he gets along. Aston Martin is the same lineup of Duncan Hofland and Jan Halliday. Then Haas is Joost Noordijk and Xander Van Dijken. No changes there. Same goes for AlphaTauri with Szymon Lekomski and Kemal Stakura. And then Jack West once again back in, filling in for Sergio Sobrino. And Richard Jacobs is here as well in that Williams. So we've got almost the quickest grid that we've got. A few unknown faces, I'd say. Of course, Declan Barrett making his PC Tier 2 debut, I believe. So I'm very excited to see how he gets along.
Yeah, definitely. I think Declan, I believe he won the race in F3 last race. So he's got some pace. He's moved over from Xbox, who's probably one of the quickest after Otis Lawrence. So he should be definitely one who's fighting up with this grid near the top. But yeah, again, another really strong grid here in F2. And I'm excited to see who could take pole. Do you have any idea, Dan, who you think could take it today?
Not at all. I mean, this grid has been so close this season, and you could just pick the names out of a hat or something, and that is probably who's going to be on pole position. You've got about the same odds as that, just because of how tight and hotly contested this grid has been. But I'm expecting, you know, the normal drivers that we see at the front of the order to sort of be in front of the pack. You know, like your Mirko Sorianos, your Jack Wests, your Max Wiesels, Flores Fires, the guys who, so even though some of them have got off to a bad start, they're always at the front of the order, and I think that they can be the ones to be at the front here in Britain. If you can hear in the background, we know that we are in the lobby. I'll bring us over to the game scene now. You can see a few clouds up ahead, but all in all, blue skies here in Britain.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a lot easier for the drivers because I think many drivers hate a wet session, especially around this track. Wet driving around here is horrible. I've tried it, and yeah, I don't like it. Many tracks I can deal with, but around here it's very difficult with the traction on some of the corners, especially when the likes of cops and stuff, because it's really easy to go wide in the wet. Well, it's easy to go wide in the dry, so never mind in the wet. So yeah, we'd see a lot more track limit violations, but in the dry it should be pretty smooth sailing for many drivers. So I think we're expecting to see times in maybe the 26.4s or 0.5s is normally what we see around here. So yeah, it will be interesting to see what we get. First few runs, not normally the best, as everyone just wants to get a banker in. Some people like to go a little bit slower in general, just so they get themselves a bit of delta for their second and third runs. But yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting start to the session, as Max Wiesel, who's obviously the one who took pole last round, is currently heading through in towards turn 3.
First man out on circuit, though, is Xander van Dijken in the Haas, a former PSGL champion, if you remember, back to season 28 in F2. I believe he won that season without taking a single victory, so he's a very storied man in the PSGL scene, and I'm hoping that he has a good race today. He's got second in the championship. Jack West just in behind him at the minute, once again turning up when he is needed in the reserve slot. And I think Jack West, if someone were to drop out mid-season, he will be first up for grabs. He'll be the first one to take the seat up for grabs, because he's been really good with attendance so far this season, and he can find himself in the championship fight now.
Yeah, I think he's kind of hoping he can get a full-time seat, because when he's sitting only 6 points behind the championship leader, I think he doesn't want, if he misses one race, that could be him dropping down a few positions. So we definitely want some sort of race seat possibility. I don't know if that will happen. I'm sure we might see one or two people drop down, as we get in every season, in every tier of league racing. But Jack West is currently heading out behind Xander van Dijken. Obviously, Xander took pole in Brazil on the first round, so it'd be nice for him if he could take another pole position. Is that possible? I don't know. It's a very different track, a longer track, so it'll be interesting to see what Xander can do as he comes out the final couple of corners.
Uh-oh, can you hear me at the minute? Am I still here?
I can hear you.
Oh, my game has crashed. Whoops. Oh dear, that's not good to start the stream off. Luckily, it is at the beginning.
Stream's gone.
The stream is gone.
It's back now.
It's fine. No, it's okay. Whoops. Sorry, everyone. I will get back in the lobby. Nathan, you're going to have to take us through some radio commentary.
Well, on board with Xander van Dijken, there's a few people starting laps now, everyone coming through the final few corners. There's actually about 10 cars altogether down at the chicane, so they're going to have to try and make their way through nice and easily. As now Xander van Dijken goes purple in that first sector. He's the first one to set a sector time in sector 1, hence why. So now he's coming through in towards Luffield, then he comes through in towards Woodcote. He's very nice on the exits, very easy on the power. Obviously this game a lot better for traction, as Xander is showing us as he comes now down in towards Cops. Now this should be flat. In 8th gear is for Xander, so straight through there. Obviously he runs a little bit wide, but not wide enough to get a track limit violation, as he now comes through in towards the infamous Maggots and Beckett's for many drivers, and down to 7th, down to 6th, then he just keeps it in 6th gear through there, back on the powerhouse turn, easy rod to curb at turn 14 at Chapel. Now he heads down this final straight, the Hanger Straight, as it is also known as he comes in towards Stowe Corner on about 30% of battery, so he should make it to the end before all of his battery runs out, and he will set the first time of the session. There's still a few more people going quicker in the sectors than Xander, so we'll see how the grid forms after these first qualifying runs, as now Xander van Dijken comes out of the final corner at Club. What does he set? It's a 24.723. Jack West coming through the final corner. What can he set on the board? It will be quickest with the 24.596 now. I think we've got Harvick Cohen coming through towards the line. Yes, we have, as Fly Swires goes quickest with a 0.530 there by 60 thousandths of a second to Jack West. And Harvick Cohen into 4th there, just behind Xander van Dijken. As Max Wiesel, the other teammate of Flores Wise, is coming through in towards the final few corners. We'll see what he can do in this session. Can he top his teammate? No, he can't, but he can put it onto the front row. So Mercedes currently sitting 1st and 2nd. We've still got more times coming through. Duncan Hoffland into the top front. Tamas Gad is coming through the final corner as well to get himself a decent time. What will it be? It'll be quickest for Tamas Gad with a 5:05. Danny, is everything sorted yet?
Well, I need an invite, unfortunately. For some reason, I'm not able to get back in the lobby like I was earlier on. But yeah, so far it seems like it's a very exciting session. I do apologise, everyone, for the issues we're having. I'm not sure why my game has decided.
I can't invite you.
Why can't I get invited here? This is all going wrong now.
Either there's a lobby glitch, or only the host can invite.
Oh,
as you've got. Yeah, we've got a few more times coming through. Rishan Jacobs into the top 4 with the 24.574. Now, Rishan obviously finished 15th in the first race and 11th in the last race. Now he's qualifying 4th. That'd be great for him to try and make something work in this championship. Obviously, only reserve driver, so he isn't guaranteed to be at every race, but so far he has been. We've got the 2 Alpines sitting 11th and 12th. Legend Rosenberg, last race provisional winner, sitting in the top 10, along with Camel Stasher as well in 9th. Jos Norok into the top 8. And looking through, Simon Lekomsky into the top 5 with just behind Rishan with a .590. Declan Barrett only qualifies in 16th so far with his teammate Matthew Older with a .779, sitting just ahead in 15th. And Mirko Soriano, the championship leader, then in 17th position with a 24.8. Then in 18th we have Ben Sabakonyi with a 25.0, and finally in 19th Jona Martins with a 25.2. And obviously Jan Hade hasn't set a lap.
Wow, I'm still trying to find a way to get into this lobby because I'm not getting an invite from Tamash. I think he's probably playing the game at the minute. But yeah, I don't know why you're not able to invite me. If you
I don't know why. I could invite you to watch through my Steam broadcast, but that does not work at all.
Oh dear. I'll try and see if I've got anyone else, I guess, on my friends list that I can ask for an invite. But oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, it's not an ideal beginning, is it? For the session?
Not at all. But
at least it wasn't in the race.
Yeah, as long as I'm in for the race, then it should be okay. Fingers crossed that I'll get in at that point. But yeah, but you'll just have to keep taking us through here, Nathan.
Well, everyone's in the pits at the moment, so hopefully we'll get another invite. And Dan says Big C says we'll restart after qualifying if no invite. So this could be an interesting session if we don't, because it means we'll have to commentate the whole thing, which there's a lot going on. But at the moment, the whole grid first down to 16th, separated by just under 0.3 of a second. So that's a very nice gap there. It's Tamash Gale with a 24.5 and Declan Barrett in 16th with a 24.783.
Sorry, can you? I've been focused with trying to get this all sorted. Can you run me through what the grid is looking like at the minute?
So Tamash Gale's quickest with a 5:05. Then we've got Floris and Max second and third. Rishan Jacobs in 4th. Simon Lekomsky in 5th. Jack West 6th. Hoffland 7th. Noel Dykes in 8th. Stasher is in 9th, and then Legend Rosenberg is in the top 10. Then the Alpines. Timo and Andre 11th and 12th. Sander Van Dijk in 13th. Harvey 14th. Then the 2 Alphas. Matthew and Declan 15th and 16th. Mirko 17th. Bentz 18th. Jona 19th. And Jan Hade hasn't set a lap, so he's last. He's the whole grid.
Okay, wow. So I'm still trying to crack this mystery as to why I can't join. Oh, and Connor's saying that we'll restart in the next minute. Jona Martins is replying. I'll tell him that want my username.
Nope. Andre Trevor, you can type in. Only the host can invite.
I don't know why that's the case because it's.
Oh, and Tamash is on an outlap. Well. Yeah, maybe he's done that just on purpose to get out, so he doesn't have to invite you. He's like, well, I'm on track. I'm not going to invite when I'm racing. But yeah, this isn't ideal at all. But if it's on invite only now, only the host can invite, I'm sure.
Wonderful. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why I'm not getting an invite because I didn't even get one to join. It was set to friends only. Tamash didn't. He didn't send out any invites, and so when he's put it to invite only, now I can't rejoin, and I haven't got an invite to join back in. So it's, I guess that wasn't accounted for, but yeah. Do apologise, everyone, for the issues going on at the minute.
Jan Hade also can't get into the lobby.
Oh, so yeah, Jan Halliday is asking for an invite, so something's happened with him as well, and now he can't qualify because Tamash hasn't invited him, and no one else can invite. So. I don't remember if this was ever made like into the game. I always thought if it was invite only, anyone could send an invite, but I guess that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, it's EA, isn't it? As now we have the second runs. We've got 8 minutes left to go. Jack West is on a run. He's coming through in towards Brooklands with the DRS now. 74% of battery, so we will make it to the end with all of his battery. And he's up by 49 thousandths in that first sector. Does go purple there with a 26.970 in that first sector as he comes through Luffield, then comes through Woodcut there in gear 4 on the exit. Right on the curve as he comes through towards Woodcut now, just keeping to the inside line. Can cut as much as that inside curve as you can. There we come through. In towards Cops. Flat through here, turning just at about the 50-metre board. Throw the car in. Then ride the curbs on the exit as you come through now in towards Max and Beck, which you want to be very careful through here, but you want to carry as much speed as you can, maximum speed through here, to get yourself a very nice middle sector. So there, Jack West shifting straight then to 6th there. He can put it through 6th through the whole section before coming at Chapel, and then moving up towards 7th gear now in 8th as he has the DRS as they come down. In towards Stowe now, we'll see as he comes through there, down to 6th gear, back on the power nice and early. But the issue is there's a few cars waiting to begin laps. Oh, and he gets impeded nearly by one of the McLarens. And I think that might have been Legend Rosenberg, who's on an 8 lap, so that could be destroying for Jack West's lap as he comes through the final corner. He does improve to P2, but that was a very big moment there down at the final corner as now Tamas Gal is up in the first sector. He's coming through in towards turn 9 at Cops. And we'll see if he can improve. The gap between the top two is 4 thousandths of a second, with Flores sitting about 10 thousandths off, just behind in P3. But everyone now on laps, apart from Xander Van Dyken, who's in the pits. Jan Hade, I believe, might be in the session, as he's currently on track.
Oh, wonderful for Jan Halliday. I've still not been able to
But not for you.
No, not wonderful for me. And yeah, sorry once again, everyone. I am very sorry for what's happened here. My game just decided to completely crash on its own, and it kicked me out of the lobby, of course. And now I'm not able to get back in. So yeah, really unfortunate. I'm seeing that I've not got Tamas Gal on my friends list, but I do have him because he's invited me before in the first race, I'm pretty sure, and I'm looking on his profile now. He's got a Lightning McQueen profile
Well
picture.
done. Tamas has improved on his lap time, but only by a little bit, so hopefully if he comes into the pits he will invite you. But looking at the top now, we've got Lekomsky, who takes a provisional pole by a 10th of a second to Duncan Hoffland, who's in P2. Chimney Lekomsky there with a 24.358. That is a very nice lap there. Max Wiesel into second with a 24.390. Flores Wise has left off his lap. Timo Zelenkiewicz is up on his time, but he lifts off, so does Kamil Stachera now. Christian Jacobs, he does improve, but only by a little bit. Andrei Tarabukin into the top 4 with a 24.475. Mirko Soriano only improves to P12 with a 24.583 as he comes through in towards turn 5, but he will be heading back into the pits as that is his lap time over. I don't think we've got many other people on a lap time at all, as we might have Harvey Cohen. Yes, we do. He's coming through. No, he's lefted off at Brooklands. And Dan, welcome back.
I'm back finally. I can bring us into the session. I'm not loaded back into the actual qualifying yet, but finally we're in.
There we go. So I'll have a bit of a break now.
Well, I'm just loading at the minute, but it seems like it's been a heart and mouth commentary from you, so really well done for how this has gone. We're about to finish our loading. Luckily we are able to get back in before the race actually hits. I'm seeing why can't you stream share on Discord. It's because then I'd have to play around with all of the different OBS settings, and I don't have actually a screen for just Discord by itself, so I'd have to set all that up, and that could take ages at that. Well, I don't really know how long it would take, but the important thing is, Nathan, I'm in for the important bit.
Yes, definitely. The final part of qualifying. Mirko Soriano, the championship leader, in 12th position. He did have an improvement as well, so he's had 2 runs and still only manages to get himself just shy of the top 10. So, this is very good for the likes of Jack West, who's sitting in P6 as well. Also for the likes of Max Wiesel, he's sitting in 2nd. And Kamil. Oh, we've had another person in the session, Kamil. That's not ideal. It seems that, yeah, there's been some issues, it seems, with the lobby still. Hopefully it doesn't reiterate into the race. Sander Van Dyke, for some reason, he's on a lap. So he's the only one on a lap, completely out of sync with others. But Dan, why don't you take us through your first lap of the session?
Here he is then, heading in towards Cops Corner, formerly turn number 1, completely flat on this new F1 23 game. Now in towards the infamous Maggots, Beck's a dart to the left, a quick dance into the right, little short downshift in towards turn number whatever this is, now towards Chapel, and opening up the DRS as he gets in towards this straight, up by just 0.07 of a second. It's not looking like a world beater from Xander Van Dyken at the minute, but in towards Stowe Corner, one of the best overtaking opportunities along this circuit. Dabble on the brakes and hard on the power as you take the downhill approach in towards Vale. He'll dive back into the pit lane. That lap was not improving whatsoever, and unfortunately for the first lap of the session for me, we're not going to see it be completed here.
Yep, Jona Martins is putting us in 4.5 tenths off the grid with a 25.267. So I'm not sure if you tried for that lap, but hopefully that wasn't a trying effort. Otherwise, that is quite a bit of a way off. But obviously, Jona has been away for quite a while, so that could also be why he's a little bit off the pace. But we've got Floris Swires first on an out lap. So we come to the final parts of qualifying. Now, Dan, you got any predictions for qualifying? I'm going to say Max Wiesel takes pole.
I was going to give you my option there. So, you know what? I'll go... where should I go? I might be a little bit boring in saying this. I want to say Mirko Soriano, championship leader, currently sitting in 11th position. He's not too far off the pole position at the minute. I'll just put the gap to the leader, only 2.25 tenths off of the back of Simon Lekomsky, who's currently topping the session. I think Mirko Soriano is going to get it, but as you can see with how close this grid is, the two Alfa Romeos are actually on the same exact time in the minute, 1 minute 24.587. With how close this grid is, anyone could be on pole.
Yeah, it's a very close grid. Looking through, P1 then to P4, well, P15 there, what? 2.5 tenths, something like that, which is very close. Looking further down, we've got only 4 cars in the 0.6s or higher, which is Jan, Legend, Xander and Harvey. Oh, we're going to have a restart for illegal blocking. Even something great, as Connor put that in the chat as that penalty came through. Perfect timing.
Yeah, he's we talk about the commentator's curse quite a lot, but maybe the commentator's curse has come in there. And with such a long circuit and such a wide track like Silverstone, you think this is going to be one of the least There's another one. Oh. Joost Noorder, I mean, they don't care at this point. They're getting they're probably going to get the lobby restart, but you know, just like with such a long and wide track, you'd think this is going to be the least likely one for grid penalties to occur, but somehow the F2 grid does it. Joost Noorder has picked one up, and he is heading now in towards turn number 1 with a minute to go in this session. This is going to be everyone's final attempts in qualifying, and I'm just wondering if those last drivers along the circuit, will they get their laps in?
Yep, and we got Mirko Soriano, Simon Komsky, and Simon Komsky with another penalty, so everyone getting them, and Ben Sabakonyi. So, well, I've just looked at the final corners. Would you like to put them on the stream, Dan? Have you seen everyone down the final few corners? All literally nearly stopped. It is their literal car park.
What? I have no idea what they're doing here. The clock is running down. Now there's Simon's been disqualified. So okay, we'll note that his time is a 1 minute 24.358. But this is absolutely ridiculous that they've been doing this, because why are they backing up so much into each other? They know that they're going to get grid penalties for this, and someone's been disqualified because of it. We'll note what his time was. It was a 1 minute 24.358, and we'll move on from it. Everyone has started their final laps. Now we'll see how Joost Noorder gets along as he heads in towards the final sector. Now his teammate Xander Van Dyken has just started his last lap now, as Joost Noorder is only up by about a 100th of a second. Kamil Stakura has just blipped into 8th position for some reason. I don't even think he had a lap on the board. Maybe, I'm not too sure what's gone on there. But nevertheless, Joost Noorder in towards the final few corners off the exit now of Club. Not a big improvement in the first and second sector, as he found it in sector 3. Indeed, he has. He jumped up in towards 6th position. Let's have a look at Floris Vires at the minute, improving by almost a 10th of a second. Will he go ahead of his teammate? Indeed, he will. Max Wiesel in that final sector at the minute. Jack West has come across the line to put himself onto the second row of the grid. Harvey Cohen's come across the line in P5. His teammate of Legend Rosenberg in the final sector now, as Timo Zelenkovic goes into 8th position with a 1 minute 24.4. Here comes Rosenberg, and it is only P15, a disappointing qualifying by his standards. Max Wiesel to the top of the order. He gets ahead of his teammate and makes it a front row lockout for Mercedes at the moment. Will Duncan Hoffman have anything to say about that? Can he get himself onto the front row of the grid? Unfortunately, he cannot. No improvement from him there. See what Tamas Gal can do as he comes out of the final corner, gets himself ahead of Jack West and into P3. Who is up next towards the line? It's going to be one of the Alfa Romeos, but we are on board with Rishan Jacobs. Declan Barrett goes to the line on his debut in P6. Rishan Jacobs P12. I think Andrei Tarabukin has come across the line in P9. Ben Jabakony's found himself in 15th. The last one to come across the line is Xander Van Dyken. It's only P13 for him. and that leaves, I believe, Max Wiesel on pole position with his teammate Floris Vyers in second.
I don't think it does, because that time we're still not quick enough.
Oh, Rishan's still on pole.
Then Lukomski's, it wasn't as
Rishan?
quick. Not Rishan.
Sorry,
Lukomski, yeah.
My head's in another place at the minute.
Yeah,
no one's beat it.
The 358. This is about 4,000 off. So technically, at the moment, it seems like we've got Lukomski on pole, Max in second, Floris and then Tamash, the third and fourth. So an interesting ending to qualifying. But one person I'm surprised by is Declan Barrett, obviously making his first appearance here. As people might know him as Smokey from Xbox. Obviously, we've got lots of penalties, but don't worry, no one's going to get them served because of the great game that EA have given us. This year, we will have a restart to make everything fair. Otherwise, no one will be in the correct position. Everyone will be in the different position. So,
you see how tight that was in qualifying there with all of the lap times between the drivers. I think the top 8 in that session, of course, not counting Lukomski's DSQ, the top 8 were all within a tenth of each other around a really long circuit like Silverstone. That doesn't happen all that often, so once again it just shows how close this F2 grid is, and I think that is going to translate very well into this race.
Well, Mercedes haven't had the best race, best season at all at the start. I think both of them didn't score points in Brazil. Max was first in Bahrain, but then due to strategy dropped quite far down. Flores also got involved in many incidents in Bahrain as well, so they've had a really poor season, but now they're going to start P2 and 3. Maybe this time we could see Mercedes on a podium. They deserve it because Flores and Max are two of the quickest drivers, so maybe we'll see them on the podium again, but we'll have to see what can happen with Lukomski, because Lukomski's a very quick driver, pole position. I didn't expect that from him around here at all, so we'll have to see what he can do in the race, see if he can hold off that lead to Max and Flores, because when you've got those two experienced drivers behind, that's going to it's going to give you a lot of pressure.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll just run through the qualifying order that we have at the minute. So it is going to be Szymon Lukomski on pole position, Max Wiesel second, third is Floris Vyers, fourth Tamash Gal, fifth will be Jack West, Duncan Hofland in fifth, sixth for Declan Barrett, seventh for Mirko Soriano, eighth for Harvey Cohen, ninth is I've messed up somewhere. Declan Barrett is 7th, 8th is Soriano, 9th is Cohen, 10th is Tarabukin, 11th is Zelenkovic, Nordyke is 12th, 13th is Rishan Jacobs, 14th is Xander Van Dyken, Matthew Alder in 15th. I'm just trying to, I'm having to use the stream as my little second monitor here. Then we've got Kamil Sakura in 16th, 17th is Ben Shabakoni, 18th will be Legend Rosenberg, 19th Jona Martins, Jan Haladej rounding out the grid in 20th position. So that brings us to the end of what was a very exciting qualifying, a very close qualifying as well, and around a circuit like Great Britain where there's plenty of overtaking opportunities. Even though this track can sort of become a bit of a DRS train, I think we are in for a very nice race.
We are. I think Britain always throws a great race, so no matter what, it should be dry. Well, it is on the screen anyway, so I don't think it'll turn wet throughout. But, you've got the strategies that come into play. I was commentating a race a couple of days ago, a practice race, and there's people trying many different strategies. We had a medium hard, a medium soft, a soft medium, and a soft hard, and they all worked well. But it seemed, from what I saw, the medium soft was the best strategy. So maybe we see that again tonight. We had people pitting on from the mediums around lap 16 onto a set of softs, took them 10 laps, and that did work out well. So I think the strategic game is also something that will make a factor in this race, which is something that is rare to say, that strategy comes into play around a league race.
Yeah, well, the strategy has been all that more important on this new F1 23 game. Of course, we saw some of them, they really can work, others really do not. Max Wiesel unfortunately suffered that fate last time out in Bahrain, where he was leading for most of the Grand Prix, but unfortunately he just dropped like a stone down the order, and it really did not help him. See how that affected him in the standings as I put them back on your screens. Just to remind you before we head into the race, Mirko Soriano currently leading the championship at the minute. He'll be starting in 8th position today. Behind his championship rival at the minute, Jack West in 2nd on 22 points. Joseph Loke not here this evening on 16 points. And then Andrei Tarabukin starting this race in 10th, looking to increase that points tally. Joost Noordijk, Legend Rosenberg and Max Wiesel, all of them on 8 points. And Xander Van Dyken on 6th. And then rounding out the top 10 is Ben Shabakoni and Duncan Hofland. Hofland had a very good qualifying here, and I think he's definitely looking to get up that order, possibly into the top 5 by the end of this evening. His teammate starting dead last in this race, Jan Haladej on 4 points. Daniel Koya not here this evening, unfortunately, on 4 points. Chanakinchi also not here on 3. Flores Fires starting on he's starting on the second row in P3, and that is certainly, if he finishes in a position on the podium, he's definitely going to be a lot higher up in the championship standings. Currently sitting on 3 points. Tycho Hardy not here this evening. Tamas Gao, unfortunately, after a very slow start to this season, and I think Britain, he's definitely going to be holding on to hope that this is going to be the turning point for him. Timo Zelinkovic is the last driver to have scored points so far. Then Jona Martins, Harvey Cohn and Camille Stakura, all of them racing this evening. They are looking to get off the mark here in Britain.
Yeah, and another thing to mention is that Joost Noordijk has a 5-second penalty to serve after this race. Obviously, in the previous Grand Prix at Bahrain, he did get a penalty, but because he didn't finish on the lead lap, he has got the penalty to be served after this race, as long as, I believe, if he finishes on the lead lap again. So obviously that's something we should keep in mind on where Joost finishes. But yeah, I think Tamas has got something to do in this race. He's got to make something work. He's got to get himself, hopefully for him, a podium. Same as Flores Wise, they've got to get something, to start kicking their season off, because Flores, he was a champion in F3. He absolutely blissed that field. He came into F2, I think, halfway through the season last season. Did a decent job, went for a win. I think had an incident in China on the last lap, so he lost the victory there. So he's still hungry for another F2 victory, but maybe tonight could be his chance. If he can make something work, obviously he's got his teammate Max just ahead, and then obviously Simon Lukomsky sitting on pole. I think Lukomsky might struggle because he's got a lot of pressure on him as he's starting on pole here.
Yeah, absolutely. Szymon Komski has not had the best start to the season. He was in a lot of scraps last time out in Bahrain. It was really, throughout the entire grid, it was just a bit of a free-for-all the entire time. And Szymon Komski, unfortunately, did not benefit from that. And starting on the pole position, the pressure is there. But I think if he's able to dictate the pace in this race and maybe, just drive as comfortably as possible, I think that's probably going to be best for him. The other alternative is letting one of the Mercedes go through, then sort of playing as a cork in the bottle between the pair of them, so they can't really work together all that easily. And of course, following behind another driver around a circuit like Silverstone is going to be massively beneficial, because DRS is so powerful around here, and there's also not many heavy braking zones to recharge that battery. So if you're following in the wheel tracks of someone else, you are going to be saving a lot more of your resources, and I think that's going to benefit Szymon Lukomski if he takes that strategy. But yeah, it is his choice at the end of the day. He'll be leading this race from the start, but it's just a question as to whether or not he holds it.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see what Declan Barrett can do today as well. He's one I'll be keeping my eye on in this Grand Prix, obviously moving up to F2, I believe, as I said before. He won the Bahrain Grand Prix in F3 last race, and obviously now he's getting that chance to move up to F2 to see what he can do in this grid of drivers. Obviously, Jona Martins as well, not making a race this season until this round here in round 3. I believe he had a few weeks away, so obviously he's not going to be back up to pace. Might just need to get himself back into a bit more comfortability. So it'll be nice if we can see him work his way up through the field. I think he did a .16 qualifying, which is, only 2.5 tenths off of pole position, but he's still down in that bottom 5, so he's got a lot of work to do in this session. But yeah, I think at this point, anyone in that top 5 can come out on top. And I think it's going to be a really close race, and hopefully we get some nice driving standards, as obviously many people would know in here that they haven't been the best recently at all in many leagues. So hopefully these drivers can give us a nice clean race.
Yeah, right. League racing recently has definitely been fun to sort of, take a step back from actually getting involved in all the arguments and stuff, and just watching it unfold is actually a lot of fun, especially on Twitter, where everyone for some reason takes it all way too seriously, and I think it is just it can be very funny to watch the fallout. But from a spectator point of view, a little bit of chaos here and there. Of course, outright dirty driving is not good for a broadcast, but guys going for those risky moves down the inside at a corner you wouldn't normally see. That's very fun to watch, and sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it does, but nevertheless, just that unpredictability of these races are incredibly fun to bear sight to. So I'm hoping for that a little bit here this evening, but if it's anything like Bahrain, stewards are definitely going to be very busy. We had so many reports come in at the end, and I think Flores Fires, a lot of them came from him.
No, I think there was about 8 of them from Flores, which is fair play to him. He's got every position he can. I'm looking in the chat. Dylan Warren says, you're asking for F2 to give a clean race. Well, Dylan, I think you know as much as I that you haven't got the best track record yourself, have you? So, But yeah, yeah, hopefully we get a clean race. Obviously, I saw the race at WOR in Tier 1. Normally, I like to give my opinion on a result or on an incident, but I thought this time we'll sit back because I'm going to get my head bitten off if I defend anyone in with those 3 drivers. So, yeah, but I think this grid generally is a lot cleaner than some of the other grids that I've commentated over. But sometimes there's one incident can lead into 10 cars being involved, which isn't good.
I'm seeing in the live chat,
yeah,
it's Crusher saying, I would love to see some battling in towards Luffield, and I think that is an excellent place to have a scrap because it's just at the end of the Wellington Straight. You go in through the left of Brooklands and then it immediately flips back over itself onto Luffield, and that corner very tricky on the traction. You want to have a wide line going in that's a very sort of a double apex sort of thing. You drift out wide mid corner, cut back in, get the power down as early as possible. When you've got another car beside you, that is very difficult to do. If you're scrapping all the way down in towards Copse Corner, of course that is completely flat in there. If you're going side by side through there, that's a bit of a death wish, but these guys can make it work, and I think it can make for some really exciting racing through that little sequence of corners in the second sector.
Yeah, well, you can go side by side pretty much from turn 1 down to, I'd say, Cops. I think Max and Beckett sometimes is a bit of a push to go side by side. Possible, but not many people go for the risk. But yeah, apart from that, turn 1 all the way down to Cops at turn 9, you can literally go side by side the whole way, which is, it's a great track for racing. Sometimes people do get a bit ambitious on moves, but it's one of them, and I think, even if moves are quite dirty from an entertainment point of view for me, it's great to see. But it's not always the greatest for the drivers and the fans. But we put that part aside. But yeah, I think it's going to be great. So I don't know why we're not going. We're still waiting for someone to get in. We've been sitting here for about 5 minutes, and I've been scrolling through the grid.
Jan Halliday just had some trouble joining in the lobby, but he's finally got in now. And I'm just seeing there's an Alpha Tauri that's yet to join. That's Kamil Kostakura. We saw him leave midway through qualifying, and he didn't come back. So I'm wondering what's happened with him. Just as I'm seeing that, now we've got 20 drivers in the lobby. Camille has rejoined, so we should be getting going very soon. And once they get the call to ready up, we should hopefully, we're not too far from Silverstone action. Of course, talking about it's 26 laps around this circuit. It's one of the longer circuits. Of course, that means there is the lower lap count. But that definitely doesn't take away from the excitement that this track brings. So many places to overtake, lots of high-speed corners. Can be very tricky if you don't get it right, and I think today it's going to be a fantastic race.
Yeah, well, Camel luckily is in now. He's not always had the best of internet. I've commentated over him lots in the past in many WR, PSGL and some team events. In his internet doesn't normally pay dividends at all, so I do feel bad for him on that part, but he's in now, so hopefully he can get himself through the race fine. But yeah, I think we've got a very great race ahead of us. I'm just looking in the chat again, and Dylan Warren, of course, centre of the chat as normal, and Zach Clark says Rain F2 Prime Entertainment. I agree, but only if it becomes dry. I still have that thing where I hate wet races unless it becomes dry, or unless it goes from dry to wet. Otherwise, it is boring as hell after 2 laps, because then everyone just starts to spread away, and well, you get nothing.
Well, lucky for you, I'm looking in the lobby now, and it says that we've got it is dry, and I've just noticed Kamil Stakura has left once again. So we're going to be sitting here a little bit longer. I was going to do this before the race got underway, but I think now is a good time for a quick word from our sponsors at GT Omega. So we will see you on the other end of this ad break. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors at GT Omega, providing us these wonderful chairs that we are both using at the minute. If you do want to check them out, I believe a link should be in the description. I believe there's also a code at PSG, but it's PSGL at checkout. You get a small discount, but yeah, GT Omega, incredible chairs that they have. You can see both of us rocking them. If you want to get your own, make sure you head down into the link in the description. We're still waiting for the last drivers to get into the lobby. Just yeah, we're waiting for Kimil Stakura, but people are making the point that he does have terrible internet. So I think we're just gonna have to hold out a little bit longer here, Nathan.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, but sometimes you got to think, right, when do we actually get underway? Otherwise, we're going to sit here for another 2 hours. And obviously, you got to feel for some of the drivers in European time zones. They're 1 or 2 hours ahead of us, and it's nearly 9 o'clock for us. So that they're obviously going to be heading up towards 10, 11 p.m. So they've got to make sure they, the race actually gets underway. I can see Xander Van Dijk and keen to start. He keeps spamming the ready up button, and everyone else just sitting patiently. The chat, he's very busy, which is something nice. At least we have people to talk to. And then Alexandre Philippe says, Dylan, why aren't you in the league race anymore? He is, but he's normally reserved for most leagues, like tier 1s and that, so that's why. And people are saying dries into dry for the race, that is ideal, and then also wet quali. What do you think of wet quali, Dan?
Wet quali
like
is... yeah, definitely do. I prefer it a lot more to a wet race, because wet race, you don't see many overtakes. ERS is less effective. There's no DRS, so it definitely does. And there's a bit more of a skill gap in the wet, because drivers also don't practice as much. So in the race, it definitely doesn't make for as much excitement, but in qualifying, it definitely can make for some unpredictable results. You know, some of the top guys could make a mistake in the wet, then you could have a wet merchant or something who normally qualifies in 15th or 16th, and then all of a sudden they're at the front of the order, and then it sort of all comes to a head in the race, and it could definitely make for an exciting show. But yeah, it looks like here we're not going to have any rain whatsoever. We've got the nice sun icon in the lobby. I don't know when we're going to get the call to go, or whether or not we're just going to go with 19 drivers, because at this point I think it's getting a little bit, wrap it up.
Annoying.
It's currently for BST. It's almost 8:45, and in about 15 minutes or so we should have been ending the race, but that's not worked out this way this evening.
Yep, and currently looking in the chat, and there's people putting all selfies in there. So everyone in the Discord's also getting quite bored, I think. And yep, Connors gave us the start, so we will be getting underway finally.
I've also had to intervene. I've said go, just go, like, because we're waiting so long. And it is really unfortunate for Camille that he's not been able to join. But after the first time he's disconnected, we'll give him another chance. Let him get back in the lobby. And it's not happened again. And yeah.
The cars have disappeared. Oh no. Everyone needs to get their car back. Camel's back. Oh, okay. Well. So Camel Satcher is loaded into the lobby as we speak with a car. And he's saying he's not loaded in, but he's already picked a vehicle, so that's interesting. But yeah, we are going to get things going shortly. We've turned an 18-minute qualifying session into a 43-minute qualifying session. So we've doubled it, not near enough, which is an ideal. Tamash, please pick your car. You're the host. Don't cause any more issues.
I think he's just sorting out the lobby at the minute. Camel Sakura finally is in the lobby, but I think everyone's a little bit ticked off now that we've not started yet, and I think maybe that's not going to be a good omen for the start of this Grand Prix, Nathan. Everyone being a little bit annoyed heading into this one, and they're being strapped into some 200 miles per hour top speed Formula 1 cars. That's not a good combination.
Yeah, I think people will be quite annoyed. It might just be, they might just want to kind of just get on with it. Some people might be a bit aggressive on these first few laps, I think, in general, but because everyone's quite annoyed, that already puts yourself a bit of, adrenaline into the system, so they might be a bit more aggressive than normal. But hopefully not. Hopefully we actually get some good racing, and still, we're looking for the chat, because there's literally nothing else to talk about. I think we're talking about every single possibility that there is. And then, IRL, Lewis, this, Max, and Mirko mainly. What?
Oh no, someone's asking who he's supporting, and yeah, but I think that's actually a good thing to ask this evening. Who was everyone looking out for this evening? Who's everyone got their eyes on? Who are they supporting heading into this race? Nathan, into this one. Anyone you're keeping an eye on?
Declan, definitely, but I also want to keep an eye on the two Mercedes as well. What about you, Dan?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm thinking. Joost Noordijk, he didn't qualify all that good, but he's been one of the quickest drivers so far this season in Brazil and Bahrain. He's been in that top 10 for the most part, and I think him starting outside of that top 10, he's definitely going to be a little bit more aggressive heading into this one. We almost started, but now we keep updating the lobby settings, and we're still not going here. Unfortunately, I'm biting my fingernails into the microphone. Hopefully it's not picking up or anything, but I'm getting a little bit nervous now.
Yeah, look in the chat. Jim, thank you very much for supporting me. There's not much to support before because I'm not very quick at driving. But yeah, thank you, Jim. Welcome in, of course. Yeah, by the time you've actually finished watching F3 with the camera, you managed to get into F2 before the race begins. It's been that chaotic so far. Which, as you say, is Declan carries me on Fortnite. Oh, well. This is very different to Fortnite, so I'm not sure if he'll be carrying anyone here, but we'll see. Indeed, of course. And someone asking where Carter Lundy is. I believe Carter's on iRacing mainly now. I think he's left F1, and I can't blame him because I would have done so as well. If I was a driver, of course. And we are getting underway, Dan. Finally.
Finally, we're getting underway after 45 minutes of the stream started. It's been 55 minutes exactly since we started, and it should have been 46 minutes since we got the call to start qualifying, which was an 18-minute session. So, give or take, we've had about 30 minutes of just sitting in nothingness at the minute. We've only really seen about 5 minutes of cars going around because, of course, I couldn't get into the lobby for most of it. But finally, Nathan, we're getting underway. I'm not going to waste any time getting our faces off the screen. I'm going to put us in to the loading screen. You can finally see we're getting into this race.
There we go. Finally, I can relax. Well, I'm not going to be relaxing for long at least, but we could sit back for a second and prepare ourselves for which could be a very interesting, very aggressive race from many drivers. Obviously, Mirko's got to work his way through. I believe he qualified in P6. So obviously he's got to work his way through the field to try and go for another podium. He's got the two Mercedes fighting for podiums as well, along with Tamas Gal, who needs some sort of points this race. He's only on 1 point at the moment. And I believe he's in about 16th position in the standings. Obviously, we've got Lekomsky, who's leading us off. And then also Kamal Sahara, who's sitting somewhere in the grid. Let's hope he can actually make the end of the race. He couldn't join the lobby, so maybe finishing 26 laps could be quite a task for his internet.
He's not made it to the grid. I'm looking in the Discord now. It says he's left again, and he said just go. So we're about to get into this one. We don't get the countdown anymore as well, so I'm just gonna have to keep on talking until we actually get this race start underway. We've got 26 laps of this British Grand Prix. Szymon Lekomsky, a surprise pole position, I'd say, taking it after getting disqualified in qualifying for illegal blocking, but that has been undone. Two Mercedes, of course, starting in second and third, looking to work together in this one to bring each other up ahead and possibly make it a 1-2 for the Brackley-based team. Not too far from Silverstone. I went here just this year, actually, for practice, and it was a very nice circuit, a pain to get to. No one should ever build a circuit in just the middle of nowhere like Silverstone is, but yeah, it is a wonderful track, and I think, Nathan, we're going to see some fantastic racing, so I can't really talk much longer. I'm going to quickly ask you, podium predictions here.
I'm going to say the win, Max Wiesel. I'm going to say second, Tamas Gal, and third, Floris Wyers.
Okay, well...
What about you, Dan?
Ooh, I'm not too sure. I'm still thinking that Joost Noordijk is going to find a way to get up the order. We'll have to wait and see those we've got now. 5 red lights here. We're finally getting underway here in Britain. And we are underway, and it's been a disastrous start for a lot of drivers. Drive-through penalties throughout the grid as they head in towards turn number 1. Szymon Lekomsky leading Max Wiesel and Floris Wyers as they head in towards the first sector now. Jack West has had a good start. He's now challenging towards the outside of Floris Wyers in towards that corner. There's an Alfa Romeo gone off the circuit. I believe that is Declan Barrett off the track. Jack West on his set. The soft compound tyres had a fantastic getaway this evening. So has Tamas Gal, who's now challenging onto the rear of Max Wiesel, struggling on the hard compound tyres. But it's been a dream start for Szymon Lekomsky. He's blitzing away at the front of the order.
Yeah, he has definitely. We've got Simon, Jack, Tamas, Harvey all on the soft tyres compound. As we have Floris Wyers getting ahead of Duncan Hoffman. They're in a little battle on the hard tyres each. Obviously, they will drop down the field because there's many people behind them on softer tyres as we come through now. in towards Cop's corner. We've got Rish and Jacobs trying to get through on Harvey's. Harvey's trying to get through on Duncan Hoffland. Goes off track though. This could give Rish a way through. Possibly no, it doesn't on this occasion. Tamas Gal looking to get himself ahead of Max Wiesel, who's had a very decent start. Jack West already up into P2 with the softer compounds of tyres. This will be very good for him at the start of this race now. Tamas on the back of Max Wiesel. He's got the soft tyres, so he will be a lot quicker, but Max does pull away a little bit there under the straight, as that's Harvey getting past Duncan into the braking zone. Duncan tried to brake him, but couldn't do so. That's Mirko Soriano overtaking Andrei Tarabukin down in towards Stowe. We've already got someone in the pits. That's Rish and Jacobs for his drive-through.
Yeah, and I'm seeing someone in the live chat saying, how does 3-driver jump start? Because I think Rish and Jacobs jumped it, and then people around reacted to him jumping the start and jumped it themselves, and I think that's what's happened. Is now Floris Vyers and Duncan Hoffland going side by side through turn number 1 at Abbey. These are on the hard compounded tyres. Not much grip at the moment in this race, but they don't care as they go side by side. Duncan Hoffland is going to be able to win that battle for the time being. Timo Zelenkovic on the set, the soft compounded tyres. He did a similar strategy in Brazil, and it really did work out in his favour. He's now on the back of the Mercedes car. See what he can do as Tamas Gal finally, after maybe about half a lap too late, is able to get by on Max Wiesel, who's gone a step harder this time by than he did in Bahrain, and he's now down into P4. And I think just the key thing, Nathan, for these hard runners is to keep with the softs.
Yeah, Max is doing a great job along with Duncan and Floris, just keeping to these people. You can see there Mirko starting to just back off a little bit. He's 7/10 back from Zelenkovic, and Zelenkovic is looking to get himself through on Floris, but Duncan, Floris and Max are doing very good at this opening stint on the hard tyres. Obviously they will be a little bit slower, as you can see them dropping back, as that's Jan Halliday fighting with Legend Rosenberg for P14. Jan there, I think, had a bit of an incident because he did just have to completely brake. It took he was in 4th gear through there, so a bit of an incident there between those two. Zelenkovic trying to get himself through on Floris, can't do so. Harvey Cohen trying to get himself ahead of Max Wiesel, but can't do so there. Maybe into the waters of the chicanes. He's got a great exit there. Max to the inside, and Harvey goes even deeper there, and I think Max goes a bit too deep in the corner. It could be a switchback here for Harvey Cohen as he's got the inside line in towards Club, and this is going to be close. This could end in contact, but they're making through. Oh, that's a bit of contact there between Max and Harvey, but Harvey just get himself ahead of Max, and Max just keep the car on the road as we head through into turn 1.
Yeah, and Timo Zelenkovic in behind has been able to get ahead of Floris Vyers. Max Wiesel not done yet. DRS has now been enabled. You can see that Harvey Cohen also blinking on the battery, so he knows that McLaren has been pushing very hard to get by on him. That's a job well done for Max Wiesel. Mirko Soriano on his set of the hard compound tyres gets by on Floris Vyers, who's now fighting it back. They're going to run wheel to wheel in towards Brooklands. It'll be the outside line for Floris Vyers. Mirko Soriano is going to have the inside. Who's going to have the momentum into the corner? It's going to switch back towards the right hand side. Almost so close to contact between the pair of them. Mirko Soriano does well to back out now, and that is Floris Vyers maintaining that position ahead of the championship leader, who's now on a charge at this point in the races. Actually, never mind, he's lost the place so far, but it's not been as bad as Floris, who's now lost 5 positions in this Grand Prix. It's been a very difficult start to this race for Floris, and it could be 6 now if Mirko is able to get on by.
Yeah, but obviously these people on the soft will be quicker, like Harvey and Thomas. You can see now sitting up in 3rd and 4th. Jack West as well having a very nice start. He's going to look for a move possibly on Lukomsky. Yes, he does. He takes that P1 position now as they're heading towards Stowe. So Jack West now taking the lead. Obviously Mirko Soriano, the championship leader, who's only 6 points ahead of Jack, he's down in P9. So this is quite a critical race now for Mirko if he wants to keep that lead, along with Jack as well, if he wants to try and get himself into the lead of the championship going into round 4. And still looking through the grid. The gaps have started to kind of spread away a little bit. As you can see, the only real battle is between Floris and Mirko. Mirko tried to get through into turn 3, went a little bit deep, but couldn't get himself through. So we're going to try it again on a different occasion, down to turn 3 again. Can he send it this time? No, he thinks differently of it, as obviously Floris is very great at defending. He's done a good job to keep himself ahead of Mirko. But yeah, not good at all for Floris to drop down 5 positions since the start of this race. And also, that seems like Kiewicz trying to get himself ahead of Duncan Hoffland. Not close enough just yet with the straights advantage. Even if you're on softer tyres down the straight, you're not going to get much of a difference in pace. So you're just going to try and get them in the corners, which is the main part. Max, you can see there, just 8/10 back from Harvey. So his critical thing for him now is just to keep himself into a second of these soft runners who obviously in about 5 or 6 laps time their tyres will start to die down, and Max should be a little bit quicker than them.
Yep, these hard tyres should phase very nicely into this race. It can go very long in this Grand Prix. The softs, though, not too bad around this circuit. Floris Vyers runs very wide off the exit of Kopp's corner. That's going to open the door for Mirko Soriano. He doesn't go for the move in towards Magnussen Beckers because he knows that off the exit of Chapel now the DRS straight is there, and Floris does not have that 1 second window that he needs to get the DRS on the cars in front. It's going to allow for Mirko Soriano to easily get on by Will Joost Noordijk, follow on through. He does get by on Floris Fires, his fellow countryman. Joost Noordijk up into 9th, Mirko Soriano into 8th, and Floris Fires, that is another 2 places lost in this Grand Prix, now down from 3rd place all the way into 10th. It's been a terrible start for Floris.
It has, yeah. I think, like before, I thought maybe it was just because of the soft runners, but we've got people on the hards getting through. Duncan, Joost, Mirko. So Floris just hasn't got that much pace, and he's only on 11% of battery, which compared to many others is a lot. So that isn't good at all for Floris, is it? Especially, you know, since the start of this race, considering he needed some sort of podium. I said he'd get a podium. At this point, it doesn't look that likely. Obviously, he's on the hard tyres, so he will come back at the soft runners soon, but if he comes back at them, he's only going to gain a few positions. It won't be, you know, it won't be where he should be in that top 3, top 4. And looking further down outside Andrej Tarabukin, they're getting ahead of Declan Barrett, standing towards Brooklands. They're not sure what happened between those two. It seemed like Declan just lost complete pace down the straights. As now, Declan's under pressure from Bent Sabakonyi, you haven't really spoken about at all, really, in the qualifying or the race. Trying to get himself ahead of Declan Barrett. Now, round the outside at Cops. Can he try and get himself through? He was looking for it, but just wasn't close enough. And now, Max Wiesel's closed up heavily to the back of Harvey Cohen.
Yeah, it seems like these soft tyres really are struggling at this point in the race. Max Wiesel looking to take advantage as early as possible. He's done a brilliant job of keeping with the top 4, and now he could potentially go on the attack. Let's have a look at the battery situation for the German driver in the Mercedes. He's not going for it at the moment. He's not using the ERS. He's just happy to sit in behind for the time being. Let these guys out in front battle out and you know, burn their resources. Then when the job is easy for him, go for the overtake. Jack West controlling the pace at the minute. Simon Lekomsky had a half look at a move in towards I believe what it was Stowe corner, but he didn't end up going for it, and that allows for the rest of the pack to sort of catch up at this point, you could say, in this Grand Prix. Further back behind, Mirko Soriano also beginning to catch Timo Zelenkovic, who's dragging along Joost Noordijk and Floris Fires. Just a few laps to go, they were out of the DRS range of the Alpine. Now they've been put back into that 1 second window, they'll be able to open up the rear wing down the straight as Soriano gives a little love tap, just let Timo Zelenkovic know that he's there through the loop, but no moves look like to be made for the time being. Max Wiesel happy to sit in P5, Mirko Soriano happy to sit in P8.
Yeah, I'm just watching Max at the moment on his onboard. It just seems like he's able to try and carry so much more speed than Harvey in that ahead, but he obviously, because they're sitting right in front of him, he can't really send it more than he can already. So his main thing probably is just to sit back, not be too aggressive, because obviously his tyres will suffer from that. So for now, he can just kind of relax. He knows that all of these have got to pit earlier than him, and obviously behind is Duncan and Mirko. So that is, I'd say at the moment, the guys in that best position. I think the soft runners have got a good start now, but you can see they're dropping back already. So when they put onto a harder set of tyres, and you've got Max on a softer compound of tyres near the end, that could be very good for Max Wiesel as he goes for a move on Harvey Cohen, down towards Stone, gets himself into the top 4. So Max having a very great start.
Very nice for Max Wiesel there, starting on that front row. Was he starting on the front row? I think he was. Yeah, he was starting in second. Yep. Now he's down into P4, but of course he's on the much better tyres at this point in the race, behind the soft runners, who are really going to be feeling the effects of tyre wear as we hit lap number 7. 6 laps so far on the set of the soft. It seems like Max Wiesel, Duncan Hoffman, Mirko Soriano, Joost Noordijk, all of the runners who are on the hards have been able to keep with the guys on the soft. Of course, the undercut will be powerful for the likes of Jack West, Szymon Lekomsky, and Tamas Gal, but later on in the race, the advantage is really going to be swung the way of Max Wiesel, Doug Laughlin, all those aforementioned drivers on the set of the hard compound tyres right now.
Yeah, and then we got Mirko Soriano. Had a bit of a tap there into turn 4 as Duncan Hoffman gets himself ahead of Harvey Cohen there in towards Brooklands. Harvey's going to try and fight back up the inside at Luffield. Can he keep himself ahead? But I think he can marginally, but Duncan, no, he can't fight back there on the outside, but he could fight back into Cop's corner with a bit of overtake being used there. Has the inside line on Harvey. These two are going to go side by side into Cops. Harvey leads off a little bit, knows he can't get through there, and you can see they're getting very close to the back of Duncan on the exit. But Mirko, yeah, as I was saying, went for a bit of a move on the back of Tima and got caught up a bit by the guy ahead. Got a bit of a love tap onto the side of Tima, and also Floris Fires was getting overtaken by Andrej Tobukins, but has got the position back. So obviously starting to try and recall himself back through the grid. Timo Zelenkovic trying to get through on Harvey. Not close enough just yet, as Harvey's actually went for a bit of a lunge down Duncan Hoffman, but obviously Duncan seems a little bit more comfortable on his tyres, so obviously not much of a battle there for Harvey.
Head on towards lap number 8 now. Jack West still leading the way on his soft compound tyres. He'll still be able to go for maybe about 3 or 4 more laps, and then I think it is time for them to pit. Maybe the mediums are the option here, and then they can take them towards the end of the race. Sander Van Dyken gets by on Rishan Jacobs further down the order. That is way at the back of the field. They've had to pit on lap number 1, I believe, for some damage. So this really is just the train. It is first all the way down in towards 15th, being headed by Jack West and then tailed by Declan Barrett. 2 Xbox drivers creating a massive sandwich. A lot of feelings in that one there as we continue along this race. Mirko Soriano still closing to the rear of Timur Zelenkovic, but at the moment, Nathan, it just feels like these guys have settled into a rhythm. They don't want to go for ambitious overtakes at this point. Soriano could be proving me wrong though, as he's closing to the rear towards Cox, but he's not close enough to make a move yet.
Yeah, I think at the moment, obviously, Timmer's going to defend heavily because it is good track position, but it seems on the exits he seems to have a bit of a better pace as Declan Barrett gets a 3-second time penalty, the first one of the Grand Prix. Well, it's not the first penalty, it's the first track limit penalty at least, as we have 3 people at the start get drive-through penalties. And also, I've noticed Jonah Martins is sitting about 40 seconds back off the grid. I'm not sure what's happened to him, but obviously that's not very ideal for his position at all. As you can see there, Lekomsky getting back right to the back of Jack West. Can't make his way through as Ben Sabakuni being overtaken there by Legend Rosenberg in towards Stowe. As we now head down in towards the final couple of corners, we have Max Wiesel now sitting on right on the back of Tamas Gal. And now Max seems like he's really set. He got through on Harvey, but now he's happy just to sit behind Tamas and just lead his way through. Sander Van Dyken also gets himself a 3-second time penalty there for multiple track limit warnings.
Well, Sander Van Dyken is way off the pace at the minute. That is because he got that drive-through penalty for jumping the start. Same goes for Richard Jacobs and Matthew Alder, I believe. At the minute, though, we're watching Mirko Soriano. I think he's getting a little frustrated sitting behind Timur Zelenkovic. Another tap through the loop, and this DRS train is really just inhibiting his progress up the order. He can't get by on this Alpine, and all of a sudden now Flores, it's Joost Noordijk actually looking towards the outside of Mirko Soriano. However, Mirko has now gone for the move on Timur Zelenkovic around the outside of Luffield. Really feeling the pressure is the Alpine driver, but in towards Kopp's corner they go. He's got the better run than Soriano, who sort of impeded his own line by going for that overtake, trying to defend from Joost Noordijk in behind. I didn't even see that gap opening up at all, but Joost seemingly quicker than his former PlayStation adversary as they go through Magnussen Beck. It's a bad line for Timur Zelenkovic. He's beginning to be dropped off the back of the leading train. Could this be finally the opportunity for Mirko to go for it in towards Stowe corner? He's closing to the back. He's not using any of the battery though. Into the braking zone they go. No moves being made. Tamas Gal at the front of the order though. He's looking for an opportunity, but in this DRS train, Nathan, no one can overtake.
Yeah, no one. Obviously, Tamas went up the inside, but then obviously Lekomsky got a great exit, so we could just pull away from Tamas, and obviously Max was just behind, so Tamas needed to be careful because if he went for it that much, Max would try and get himself through. Max, we know, he's one of them. He tends to just sit back. He doesn't really get involved in many instances. He just sits back and just takes positions, when he can. A bit like what Lewis Hamilton does. Takes a bit more of a relaxed approach in a race, and it works out heavily for him every single time, or at least most of the times. There's now we got Mirko Soriano getting himself ahead of Zelenkovic, saying, a bit of contact between the two as they come through. Turn forward the loop, and now he's through into Aintree, and there we are. So Mirko Soriano into 7th. I think then Timur was thinking about it, but yeah, just wasn't close enough there to get onto the back of Mirko in towards Brooklyn's corner. So now Mirko can try and close himself in on Harvey, and then it's on the charge after Duncan and Max, who are realistically his rivals. Obviously we've got people, and that's Jonah Martins.
Jonah Martins having a spin out of Stowe. It's been a slow getaway for him, easing himself back into the F1 ground. I believe this is one of his first races. He's been away for most of the summer so far, and it's definitely proving to be a little bit of a grind to get himself back into the swing of things. But I think in the next few rounds, Jonah Martins gets back up to speed. He should be able to keep up with the pace of all these drivers. But nevertheless, we continue along this Grand Prix. Mirko Soriano, after he's finally cleared Timur Zelenkovic, he's been able to get his charge underway as he looks up the inside in towards Stowe corner on Harvey Cohen. The McLaren not giving an inch, and they're going to run side by side in towards the Vale chicane, but Harvey Cohen is going to back out there. Realise that he cannot fight with Soriano at this point in the race. It's better to save his softs for as long as they can go, stretch this stint as much as he can, and then pit later on to have the best tyres towards the end of the race. Meanwhile, Max Wiesel looking for a move on Tamas Gal, but Tamas Gal really not giving anything at the minute, and it's been a stoic defence from the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, it seemed weird for these soft tyres, because it seemed like at the first 2 laps they was fine, and then they kind of dropped off a bit, lap 3 to about lap 8, but now they're actually doing quite well again. As then we've got Jos Nordijk having a battle with Timo Zelenkovic. This is then towards Brooklands as now. Jos Nordijk puts himself into the top 8. Timo doesn't bother fighting back there as he has a bit of correction in the steering wheel as they come into Brooklands. And also that's Jan Halliday getting himself ahead of Benson McConaughey. Benson will try and fight back up the inside line there at Luffield. This is normally the better line, but Jan's got the better exit as they come through to Woodcut, so it will promote them into possibly a bit of an overtaking to Cops. No, they sit back, so Benson decides to just let off. He knows that battle into Cops, even if you clean drivers, it doesn't always end well because of the nature of the corner. As we now head back into Manx and Beckett's, we've got Yost on the back of Harvey, Mirko on the back of Duncan, and Max right on the back of Tamas Gal. So this could get very interesting between these guys. You can see there Max having some great exits now, coming out of Chapel, but Tamas does seem to pull away a little bit on the exit there at the corner, and obviously Tamas has also got more battery, so a bit of a different setup it seems between those two as Lukomsky goes a little bit deep though down at Stowe. Could be an opportunity for Tamas, not this time around, and the three soft runners all pit. So now Max Wiese will take the lead, Duncan will go second, and it will be third for Mirko Soriano.
Harvey Cohen, interestingly enough, he's opted to stay out on his set of the softs. He can take them one extra lap. It's definitely going to help him, but he's not going to get the undercut on his rivals, and he's not going to get the undercut to the extent of the hard runners that the others will be taking. That's 5 drivers now into the pits. I actually think, no, sorry, that's 4 drivers into the pits. They're all on to the medium times, which can definitely go to the end of the Grand Prix at this point. So I think it was a good time for them to come into the pit. They had to extend their soft stint as long as possible, so they were able to, get that. It's sort of like a fine margin. You want to undercut your rivals, but you don't want to have completely dead tyres towards the end of the race. So they've found that little window. They've all opted to pit, aside from Harvey Cohen. I think it's a smart move from them to come into the pits. They're out on circuit now. Just behind, though, Rishan Jacobs and Xander Van Dyken, which is really going to impede them in this race because that is going to be traffic, and this is for position. They're of no obligation to give it up.
Yep, and Xander Van Dyken lets Jack West through. Obviously, these two, I believe, are quite good friends in real life, so, in the community anyway, so obviously Xander just thought, yeah, we'll let him through, not cause any issues. Rishan should do the same to his teammate as well in the Williams. Well, hopefully he does anyway, otherwise this could be quite annoying for Jack West. Obviously, Jack now sitting in that provisional lead of the race, so this is very good for Jack. And on my screen then, Jack just bounced back by a couple tenths. So I think there's a bit of lag on someone's end, unless it was just mine, I'm not sure. As we come through now, and that is Harvey Cohen into the pits with Mirko Soriano into the pits as well. So that's an interesting track from Mirko, isn't it? Very interesting. Not going very early at all. I mean, not going very late at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's pitting early on those hards. They definitely could have gone longer. You sort of want to split the race about 55% on the hards and then 45 on the mediums, but he has definitely opted to go aggressive. Here is now mediums being strapped onto his car. Same goes for Harvey Cohen and Declan Barrett. And we'll see how this works out. Jack West is just coming out the final corner. Now he should be able to get himself ahead of these 3, but we'll just see what the gap is in relation to that as he flies through turn of 1 of Abbey. Where is Mirko Soriano going to come out? He's just now exiting the pit lane. Will he be ahead of any of his rivals? He gets himself just in between. Harvey Cohen has come out of the pit lane, but he's just behind Xander Van Dyken, who should, hopefully, fingers crossed, get out of the way like he did for all of the other medium runners. And that's a good sportsmanship from Xander Van Dyken. He knows that he's not fighting for position in this race. And now, Florida Fires picks up his first penalty. Duncan Offland on the back of Max Wiese.
Yeah, maybe a bit of personal issues there between Rishan and Tamas, because Rishan let Seaman and Jack through, but then when Tamas comes to the side, Rishan defended very heavily on the back of Tamas as he pretty much lets Tim Zelenkovic through dead in towards Cops. But yeah, you can see that undercut, as we know on this game, is 10 times better, because Mirko Soriano has come out, about 3 seconds behind Jack West. Obviously, he will catch up slowly as once he gets himself ahead of Rishan, he can jump onto the back of Tamas Stimman and Jack. And obviously, the overcut won't be very good for Max, Duncan, Flores and all those on the hards, but once they pit onto a set of softs, they'll start to claw themselves back through. And near the end of the race could be a very interesting battle between all these guys, as Jos Nordijk now heading into the pit lane. Obviously, was on a set of hards, now onto a set of mediums, and still... Xander Van Dyken gets a 5-second penalty and retires from the Grand Prix. So our first retiree is Xander Van Dyken.
Unfortunate there for Xander Van Dyken, getting that drive-through penalty. His day comes to an early end on lap number 14. Jos Nordijk comes out of the pit lane. He'll be behind both Mirko Soriano and Harvey Cohen, I believe. He was already in that position heading into this one. Now he's just slotted out behind them, so he's done well to cover off the undercut from those guys. Now he's going to have 2 lap fresher tyres down the likes of Jack West, Lekomsky, Tamashkow and Zelenkovic. So I think Joost Noordijk is definitely in a very strong position at this point. Still the leading train yet to pit in this Grand Prix. Max Wiesel's done very well to lead this Grand Prix early, and I think he is definitely going to be the one to watch out for coming towards the end of this race. We saw a few laps ago Duncan Hoffman get very close to the rear of the German. However, he didn't go for a move in towards Stowe corner. However, now he's getting very close to the back of the Mercedes, but in towards the braking zone. He's not going to go for an overtake. Will we see any pit stops from the front three? Doesn't look like it at this point. Andre Tarabukin in behind. He does actually opt for a pit stop. Legend Rosenberg is going to stay out. That is another hard runner into the pit lane.
Yeah, well, I was going to say at this point now, if you're on the hard still, you would not want to go into the mediums. You want to wait till the soft tyres. So probably lap 16, 17 is a good time to pit onto the softs. There's no point now pitting onto the mediums because, you know, it's lap 14. By the time you get to lap 17, the softs will be quicker. So there's no point. You might as well stay out 3 extra laps and maybe lose a bit, maybe a second of time or something like that, and then have the softs to fight with. Otherwise, it's just way too early. Way too. Not, I don't know what the word is, but it's not ideal at all to pit onto the mediums now. Softs are the way to go. Andre's onto the mediums, but I think now for Max, Duncan, Flores, Legend, Jan and Bent, do not go into the mediums because that'll ruin your race. You need to go into the softs now if you want to make something work, because look at Lekomsky, he's only 19 seconds back off these, so there is a bit of a gap between Max and Simon. Max will come out behind, probably come out down in around 15th place. So if he pits onto mediums, he's not got much of an advantage. If he pits onto the softs, he's got a great advantage on these medium runners ahead.
That is the power of the undercut, and Silverstone does have one of the longer pits, the pit lanes at the minute. Of course, that is made up by the fact that you lose less time when you go through the Vale, when you don't take the Vale chicane. You're missing out essentially 3 corners there, but it is a very long pit lane, and so it can give a few issues for some drivers if you are being undercut. As we see Jack West on the back of Szymon Lekomsky, this is definitely ideal for Rosenberg speeds in the pit lane. He is coming into the pit lane, same with Jan Halliday, and so Jan Halliday, he's given a tap to Legend Rosenberg, and he has unfortunately got that penalty. Should be able to get that one removed if he doesn't pit later on in this Grand Prix. Jack West goes up the inside of Szymon Lekomsky, retakes that net lead. However, in making that move, he's lost a little bit of time to the likes of Legend Rosenberg and Jan Halliday as they come onto the medium, which will be well clear though of the McLaren and the Aston Martin, as now there's only 4 hard runners left out on circuit.
Yep, and this is now going to be... Roshan retired in the pit, so that is Roshan out, the second retiree. Luckily, both of them being in the pit lane, so no one retiring on track just yet. But yeah, as I was saying now, it's going to be pretty much hammer time for these top 4 before they go into the pits and get themselves a set of soft tyres on. I think it'll be soft anyway. Well, it should be, please. And then obviously you got the likes of Lekomsky and Jack West, who I think at this point aren't going to fight too heavily. Their main thing now will be just to pull each other along to close this gap to these hard runners ahead, as obviously they want to get themselves a nice clean gap. You can see there it is Andres Tarabukin. He's sitting quite far back. He's 2 seconds back off Declan. He's a second back off Harvey. So, he's a good nearly 5 seconds back off Jack West, and before the pit stops they wasn't that far at all. So that is an interesting one, as Duncan Hoffman gets overtaken by Max Wiesel now in towards Stowe. That is for the P1 and P2 provisionally, and now they're heading to the pits. So Flores has to stay out because his teammate has entered the pits, and he obviously doesn't want to be held up to a double stack, as Vincent Oconi also stays out on the grid as well. So now it will put Jack West probably back up into, back up into P2 and 3.
I'm just looking in the Discord and seeing that Rishan Jacobs unfortunately suffered 2 wheel issues in this Grand Prix. Max Wiesel in the pit lane, he's fitted on a set of soft compound of tyre, which can definitely go to the end of this race. It's a very aggressive strategy from the Mercedes driver, but I like that from him. He'll be definitely coming out behind the likes of Legend Rosenberg and Jan Halliday, maybe actually just ahead of them. We'll see what he does as he comes out the pit lane. Nevertheless, he'll be way behind the likes of Lekomsky, West, Gal, who have pitted now 5 laps ago in this Grand Prix. He's going to have 5 lap fresher tyres, and he just about is going to be able to, unfortunately, be behind Legend Rosenberg. It's looking towards the outside of the loop section. Max Wiesel really going for this move. He does not want to be caught behind any slow traffic in towards Aintree. They go off the exit. Will have the DRS on Legend Rosenberg, and that is a move being made for P12 in this Grand Prix outside the points paying position. Now Duncan Hoffman as well on his fresh mediums sees the move up the inside, and he'll make that one stick. Legend Rosenberg thought for a moment that he was going to be able to stay ahead of Max Wiesel and Duncan Hoffman. He thought he'd undercut them, but Max Wiesel and Duncan Hoffman, they had other plans.
Yep, Max now has got, and Duncan will have to be on an absolute charge through the field. Obviously, everyone through at the grid now. They've got 2 lap old tyres, all the way up to 5 lap old tyres. Obviously, that being the top 4, well, provisional top 4 of Lekomsky, Jack West, Tamashgal, and Timo Zelenkovic. As now we have the top 2 pitting, which is Forest Fires and Ben Sobakonyi, who will most likely go into a set of soft tyres as Jack West retakes the lead yet again from Lekomsky as they head through in towards Stone. These two coordinating it very well together here for at the moment, the provisional lead of the Grand Prix as we come through. And so we have Benz onto the mediums and Flores onto the soft tyres. As now we have Mirko Soriano getting himself ahead of Zelenkovic. Zelenkovic is going to try and fight back in the final quarter. Can't do so. So now Mirko into that top 6, provisionally top 4 as we head through now down in towards turn 3 yet again. And Zelenkovic very close. Is he close enough? Because we've also got Joost Noordijk looking for a move as well. Oh, a bit of a tap to Mirko from Timo Zelenkovic. That allows Joost Noordijk to get 2 of them, I think, through there. Mirko just try and fight back, pushes Joost to the edge of the track now as he comes through. Bit of wheel banging between these two. I think Mirko's just about caught that P4 for now, but Joost will try and get it around the outside as we come through down into wall. Well, no, for the inside, down into Brooklands, tries to get it to the inside line, can't do so just yet. Mirko's gone a little bit too deep. Joost going to try and fight it around the outside. Is it enough? I don't think it is. As now we've got Timo Zelenkovic being overtaken by Harvey Cohen, who's now in the top 6. He's had a great race considering he's come off a back-to-back DNFs.
And someone in the live chat has just made a fantastic point that all of this fighting is just going to be helping the likes of Max Wiesel, Duncan Hoffman in behind, because they are losing a lot of time by fighting this hard for what is P4, and only on lap number 18. You can't win the race at this point. You have to stick it out right until the end, and all this fighting is now going to be costing them valuable seconds, valuable tenths around this circuit, that Max Wiesel is definitely going to be gobbling up, as Zelenkovic has now lost 3 places in the space of just 1 lap. Harvey Cohen saw his opportunity to go for the movers. Zelenkovic was weak off the exit of the loop. He had to back out because he was being sandwiched by Joost Noordijk and Mirko Soriano. Harvey Cohen, a very well worked overtake from him there. Now Soriano's been able to use some of that pace that he has as the championship leader to get up to the rear of Tamashgal, and so that train is sort of being kept intact here. However, those soft runners in behind, Max Wiesel on Flores Fires, we do need to be watching out for them, because those tyres, they're going to be the fastest men on circuit by some way at this point.
Yeah, and I think if Jack and Mirko was to finish first and fourth, I think that would equal them in the championship, wouldn't it? I think. Or it would put them to about 1 point of a gap. So, this could be very good for the championship in terms of how competitive it will be between Jack and Mirko. We've also got Lekomsky trying to make himself a bit of a charge in the championship, along with Tamashgal. Remember, he's sitting down on 1 point in the championship. This will give him, I believe, 10 points. So that will put him on to 11, so it would start to bring him up the field a little bit. Joost Noordijk as well, just to note, has a 5-second penalty to serve after this race due to not finishing on the lead lap in Bahrain and getting a penalty. So he'll obviously drop a bit down the field, which could help a few drivers such as Max and Duncan get a position if they can't make themselves through on this top 5 pack. But you can see how close all these are together. Tamash, Mirko and it's all 2 tenths between each other as they head down towards Stowe yet again. But for now it seems to die off until we get to that final part of the race where everyone actually goes all guns a-blazing to make positions for the final classification. As there we have Andrei Tabukin getting through on Declan Barrett. Declan going to try and fight back, couldn't do so. Max Wiesel now sitting 1.3 seconds back, so he's getting very close to this 1 minute 1 second train. 1 second train for the DRS, so he's got to get that very quickly so we can try and then start to pick people off slowly. He's in 10th at the moment, we'll get 9th because of the penalty for Declan, but obviously wants to be a lot higher than that as far as wise. Sets the fastest lap.
Yeah, apparently Max Wiesel has a little bit of wing damage, and that's why he's not catching at a significant rate. It was a little bit of contact with Legend Rosenberg, currently sitting in P12. I'm wondering where along the circuit that was and what lap it was. Maybe it was off the exit of the pit lane for Max Wiesel. He pitted, of course, a lap later than Legend Rosenberg. Rosenberg was able to undercut him ever so slightly, and they were side by side in that first sector. Could have made a slight bit of contact. We'll just have to wait and see what Max Wiesel says after this race. Although at this point we're still on lap number 20 of 26. There's 7 laps, well, about 6.5 laps left to go in this Grand Prix. Jack West still leading the way from Szymon Lekomsky and Tamashgal in 3rd. And at this point, I think Jack West is going to be feeling a lot more comfortable than he would be a few laps ago, knowing that Max Wiesel struggled to catch up to the rear of this train. However, now that he is actually within that DRS range, I think the German is going to have a field day feasting on some of these guys who have got the worn out medium tyres. Look at the difference in grip that he has. So Declan Barrett in through Chapel, off the exit, and on towards the Hangar Straight, already making that move for P9 in this Grand Prix. Szymon Lekomsky has also been able to get ahead of Jack West. Those guys have been trading the lead almost every single lap in towards Stowe Corner. Max Wiesel on the back of the two Alpines. I think Zelenkovic has gone deep in towards the Vale chicane. Max Wiesel sees that opportunity, follows Andrei Tarabukin through, and now Max Wiesel on a charge.
Yeah, you could, when you watch it, like before you see, oh yeah, the gap's coming down by a few tenths lap, but when you actually watch Max on his onboard, you can see just how much more grip he has. You know, he's just able to just throw the car, and you can see the others struggling, and Max is like, yeah, this is easy peasy for me, I can easily get myself through quicker than you, as that is Duncan Hovland getting through on Tim Zelenkovic. That's Declan Barrett having a bit of an argument there with Legend Rosenberg, and Forest Fire's sticking up the inside at turn 5 on Legend, who's also trying to get a move there on Declan Barrett. This could get interesting into Brooklands. They're going to go 3 wide, still Legend and Floris touching wheels as they go through into the corner, and that is there. Legend going a bit deep, that could have laid Declan Barrett around the outside in towards the field, can't do anything just yet, and now we've got Floris trying to get himself through on Tim Zelenkovic, just what his teammate did Max Wiesel a few laps ago. As we can see his gap coming down, this is Duncan Hovland going from Andrei Tarabukin into Cops, and just get himself just a little bit ahead. What a battle between those two.
Yeah, he's made that move stick in towards Cops. A late lunge to the inside. A very nice overtake from Duncan Hovland there, getting himself in towards P8. Now onto the back of Max Wiesel. These guys pitted at the same time, just onto different compounds, and so they should have different tyre wear, of course, at this point. However, Max Wiesel's going to have a lot more significant, I'd say, than Duncan Hovland. So Hovland should be able, in the next few laps, to close up to the rears. Tamas Gao and Mirko Soriano have a little scrap in towards the Vale chicane. Slight nudge from the Ferrari into the back of the Red Bull, and now Joost Noordijk looking to capitalise. This is just all doing favours for Max Wiesel in behind, because he's well within this train, and in towards Abbey they go. Mirko Soriano really feeling the pressure from Joost Noordijk in behind. Would he go for the move in towards Village? Indeed he does, down the inside for the Haas, making the move stick on Soriano, who just cannot fight that one back. In towards the loop they go, gives a slight nudge to the back of Joost Noordijk, and the Dutchman now losing the rear as they head on towards the Wellington Straight. Here comes Harvey Cohen into the fray as they approach Brooklands. Here they go, Harvey Cohen looks to the inside line. Max Wiesel is also there, arriving on the scene, 3 wide into the braking zone. Soriano and Harvey Cohen, both of them off the circuit. There's contact, oh dear, Harvey Cohen almost sent into a spin. Max Wiesel charges on through up into P5. Soriano manages to maintain P6. Harvey Cohen down into 8, because now Duncan Hovland has taken that position.
What a battle between those two, and you could just see there Max just got through on them quite easily. There's them two all battling around, and Max took it to the inside, put himself through, and then obviously Mirko, I'm not sure what happened to Harvey, he must have got caught up there with Mirko as he come through. Mirko's just a 10th back from Max, so he obviously would like to get that position back from Max, as now Max is going to have to try and get himself through on Joost Noordijk, who's about 5 tenths up the road, and then Lukomski and Jack West fighting for P1 in towards Stoves. You have Tamas Gal round the outside of Lukomski to put himself into that P2 position. Very nice move there from Tamas Gal, and Lukomski losing 2 positions in the matter of just 1 corner, which isn't good because it's now P1 then to P3. This is putting Tamas Gal in a prime position to try and take a victory here in F2, as he's now going to try and charge after Jack West. I can't see him making a move just yet. I think he might want to wait till the last lap to make the charge. Then we've got Duncan Hovland trying to get himself ahead on Mirko Soriano. 4 lap newer tyres for Duncan Hovland. He sends it up the inside of Mirko. Mirko can't really fight back, but he does. Up the inside down at turn 4 at the loop. And Duncan's got better traction on the exit as they come through. Does he keep himself ahead for now? Yes, he does, but they're going to argue down this back straight. And I think Duncan might have just about got himself ahead.
Yeah, both of them have DRS on Max Wiesel up ahead, and now Harvey Cohen looking to try and once again make a move on the back of Mirko Soriano. This once again begs the question, why did Mirko pit so early? As now we've got yellow flags. I think Legend Rosenberg, something's happened to him through Brooklands. He's now been sent into a spin. I think there was contact there with someone along the road. I don't know who it was. It might have been Benjamin Conye. Possibly he's lost a lot of time now to Declan Barrett. Has actually been dropped from that 1 second window that he needs to get the DRS. 2 Alpines looking to scrap with that Alfa Romeo in towards that 3rd sector, but still with just 3.5 laps left to go. Jack West leading from Tamas Gal. Joost Noordijk getting involved in this train now. It's been sort of a 2-way fight. And then Tamas Gal, he decided, I want to get involved. He gets himself ahead of Szymon Lukomski a lap ago. Lukomski, I think, was caught off guard by that overtake and just sitting pretty in P5 with only 6-lap-old soft tyres. Max Wiesel doing a fantastic job of maintaining this P5 position.
Yeah, but you can see there the 2 Alpines working together there. Team pretty much let Andrei through down towards the club chicane. Obviously, Andrei's got better tyres, so he can put a bit more of a charge to Declan Barrett, who's now in the top 10. Obviously, with the penalty, will drop down a couple of positions. If we look back to the top, it is now Max Wiesel trying to get himself ahead of Joost Noordijk, and you can see now Joost also trying to get himself ahead of Lukomski in towards turn 4, inside line there for the Haas. I think there Lukomski's going to try to drag it around the outside. I think he does just about now. Max Wiesel in prime position to try and get something to work. If these two go side by side in Brooklands, normally you end up losing lots of time when battling side by side, and for now it seems that those two, the Alfa and the Haas, do just let each other through, and it will be P3 and P4 still respectively for those guys. You can see there Max just touching the back of Joost there through in towards Luffield, then towards Woodcutt, as now Duncan Hoffland also sitting right on the back of Max. It's working heavily for him as well, who's currently sitting in P6, and yeah, this is going to be a final couple of laps left, 2 laps to go, and I think any of these top 5 could any of the top 6 could take the victory.
Soriano is still with an outside shot of winning this race. Same goes for Harvey Conan's really feeling the pressure from Flores Fires, who tried to go from room in towards Cops Corner to no avail. Unfortunately, he knows that Harvey Conan is vulnerable. He's blinking on the ERS usage. Same goes though for the Mercedes, so down the straight they go. We'll look to the front of the order once again. Tamas Gau getting very close to the rear. Joost Noordijk looking up the inside of Szymon Lekomsky, who once again loses the position in through Stowe Corner. Can he hold this one up the inside in towards the Belgian? The Dutchman will have that inside for the next part of the circuit. Little bit of contact between the pair of them. Wheel banging has allowed for Max Vital to slip on through, as does Duncan Hoffland in towards the final corner at Club. And now Szymon Lekomsky, it's really just come undone for him. A few laps ago he was fighting for the win of this Grand Prix. Now he's all the way down in 6th position as they continue along on lap number 25. Just 2 to go here. Jack West still leading from Tamas Gau. Joost Noordijk in 3rd, but once again, don't forget, he's got that 5-second penalty.
Yeah, I think Max there had a bit of a tap there from Duncan Hoffland as they went into turn 4. Marcos Soriano looking to get on the back of Szymon Lekomsky, can't do anything just yet, but he actually just sends it up the inside there. Bit of contact nearly. Simon nearly went round, but they do collect the cars perfectly as they come through now out of Luffield in towards Woodcutt shortly, and still Lekomsky keeping himself just about ahead of Mirko Soriano. The gap for those two, with the tyres being only 1 lap difference, it won't be too much of a difference on pace for these two. So, you know, it should be pretty much who's better gets through, not who's got the better tyres gets through. As Max Wiesel now looking to gain on the back of Joost Noordijk. He's got 30% of battery, Joost on 10, Tamas on 62, and Jack West on 79% of battery, as that was Tamas go there, going a little bit wide on the exit of Chapel. This is going to allow Joost Noordijk to try and get a move in towards Stoke. Can't get close enough just yet, but Max Wiesel's got to try and get a charge soon. We're coming on to the end of the penultimate lap of the race. It's very close before we get to the final lap, and then all to pay for these top 4. I think that realistically the one's going to be fighting for this win and podium.
Have a look at the tyre situation. Jack West and Tamas Gau, they've got 13 laps on those mediums. Yellow flags, that's Sergeant Rosenberg going slowly in the 2nd sector. Joost Noordijk with 12 laps, so it's slightly fresher tyres than the top 2. Max Wiesel caught on 9-lap-old softs. They're definitely going to be feeling wear at this point. I'd say Duncan Hoffland in this train is going to be the quickest man. However, he has not got the track position, and so he's got to make many overtakes on this final lap. And there it is up the inside of Max Wiesel in towards the loop. Can Wiesel hold this around the outside? Duncan Hoffland's going to be able to stick his nose through, get ahead in towards the Wellington Straight, and that is P4 for the Dutchman. How will he take this charge in towards the last few sectors of this race? Jack West still leading from Tamas Gau in 2nd position. Joost Noordijk beginning to drop off the back of Tamas. Could Duncan Hoffland seize an opportunity and take that podium?
As he comes through now, up in towards Cops. Duncan Hoffland tries to get himself ahead of Joost. He goes for the inside move at Cops. Flies past the Haas there through there. Very nice there for Duncan Hoffland into the podium positions for the Dutchman in the Aston Martin there, looking to get himself also onto the back of Tamas and Jack. This is the main battle between these two down the back straight. Will it be Jack or will it be Tamas, or will it even be Duncan Hoffland?
We'll have to wait and see then as they head down the hanger straight for the final time in this race. Tamas Gau just doesn't look like he's close enough to challenge Jack West into the corner, and so Jack West at the final hurdle, he is going to be able to succeed here. Tamas Gau with no opportunity to go for the move. He's too far back into Vale. West is going to win here.
Jack West now coming through into the final corner for the final time to take his first victory of the season here at Silverstone. It is Jack West who wins the British Grand Prix with Tamas Gau in 2nd and Duncan Hoffland finishing in 3rd. And I believe, if I'm correct, now Jack West will lead the championship going into round 4 at Qatar. What a great race there from the top 3. And Joost Noordijk getting his 5-second penalty. He will drop down a few positions, and I think that will put Mirko Soriano into 6th. But I just don't think it's enough. The gap would be about 1 point more. I think it was 7 points between those two going through. So it will be Jack West ahead, and Max Wiesel with his penalty for track limits drops down to P9 after what would have been such a great charge of Flores Fires as well, finishing in 12th. And yet the curse of Mercedes still continues. Started P2 and 3, finishes P9 and P12.
It's been very disappointing for Mercedes so far this season. I personally just forgot Max Wiesel actually had a penalty. I thought he was going to finish potentially on the podium at the end of it. Duncan Hoffland was able to get through on him there, but it was never, it wasn't actually important. Duncan Hoffland either way was finishing in that top 3 because of course Joost Noordijk's penalty will we will have we will just adjust the gaps and work out where exactly he is once we get into the final classification screen. Jonas Martins is the last one. Fair play to him. He stayed on the lead lap in this race despite all of his issues, and I think it's definitely going to be a road to redemption for the Ferrari driver as Matthew Alder leaving the session. All these guys, I think they're a bit sick of sitting in their rigs because it's been almost an hour and a half since the start of the stream. And it's actually been over an hour and a half since the start of the stream, and an hour and a half since we got in to racing. I think everyone is a little bit bothered.
Yeah, definitely. I'm quite hot and bothered as well because it's really hot in my room at the moment. And yeah, it was quite a chaotic few laps to commentate over, but it was a great race yet again. And Jack West finally getting that victory. I think he's had a second, a third, and now a first. So he's got all podium positions in the first 3 races. So very nice from him indeed.
Yes, he's going to be celebrating atop the podium. Jack West, really strong showing so far this season. Is he your next PC F2 champion? We'll have to wait and see how he copes for the rest of the season. He didn't even do his time trial or evals, so I think Connor in the live chat at the beginning of the stream said he's lucky to even be here. But nevertheless, he's taken advantage of the opportunity, and he is now, I'd imagine, leading this championship.
And I'm looking in the chat, Max and Mirko aren't very happy at all. So I don't know if we'll end up speaking to those two, but Jack West, Danny's in the waiting room if you'd like to drag him up. Because it won't let me for some reason.
I'll bring us into the interview room. We're getting straight into it with the interviews, and I'll bring Jack West into the commentary box. Jack, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Right, so to start this one off, really well done on your win today.
Thank you.
You're a little bit quiet there. I might just see if I can turn you up on.
Very quiet.
Yeah, see if I can turn you up on Discord really quick. Never mind, you're already 200%. Is there a way you can move closer to your microphone?
Wait, is it any better, or do I need to?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, that's
better.
perfect. Right, so getting into qualifying, started P5, heading into this one. How are you feeling after your qualifying?
My pace in practice was quite good, so I was expecting to be a bit higher, but I knew P5 was like, I could work with it. You're not out of the race in P5, and yeah, I'm quite surprised at the strategy that Max and Forrest went for, because I think if they had gone hard medium instead of hard soft, they would have beaten us quite comfortably. But the softs just died out way too much at the end of the race, and me and Simon didn't exactly work well together. I tried to let him through and see if we could tow each other along, but he just wouldn't go past me for some reason, which I thought was quite strange. But I think the pace in the second stint was quite good, and I managed to keep the pace quite well. We were, we had a lot of DRS. I knew for the final lap I'd be okay, and I was quite happy that Thomas Gal got past him, because I think if Thomas Gal was a little bit slower, so I felt there was a little bit less pressure on the final lap to keep ahead, and I had about 80% battery starting the last lap anyway, so I just dumped it all and eventually took the win. So yeah, that's my first F2 victory, which I think it's a long time coming now, but I'm really happy with it. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think you were on the grid that I was last commentating F2 on. It would have been at the start of F1 22. You might have been on that grid. It was a very competitive one, and unfortunately you weren't able to capture gold that time. But this time you're finally standing on top of the podium, and I believe in the championship lead. I'm just noticing though in the Discord there's a lot of chatter about not being able to race properly. Of course, it's not directed towards you, but it's just everyone sort of having a go at each other. Is there anything you want to comment about the driving today?
Well, to be honest, I was in the front most of the time, so I didn't really see anything. But, I mean, I did look behind me a few times. I did see a few 3-wide action and a few cars spinning, so maybe, that's something I need to watch back and, enjoy.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's certainly made for a very entertaining race, seeing drivers dive up the inside for 3-wide overtakes, at every other corner. So, yeah, it was very fun to watch. But now that you are leading the championship, we're expecting you to come back every single week, hopefully. And next up, we're headed to Qatar. How are you feeling heading around there?
The new track, you don't really know how it's going to go, but, it's a new track for everyone, so you have to put a bit more preparation into it. But, hopefully it's a fun track. It looks like it'll be a bit chaotic for racing with the long straights and stuff, a bit like Silverstone. So yeah, it should be a fun one.
Yeah, and well, really well done from me. Is there anything, Nathan, you want to talk to Jack West about?
Nothing really, no. Just well done, Jack. Obviously, I think from what my calculations say, you do take the lead by 4 points. So very well done. And
Thank you.
considering your reserve, that's even better.
Yep.
But then on your luck, you'll take the lead and you'll end up not racing to next week.
It would be nice if
Yeah,
So yeah, well done, well done.
I mean, something tells me we're not going to get full attendance here in F2 after some of the drama that's been going on. But we'll let you get away and enjoy that race win. We still got some more drivers to talk to. Well, who should we go to first, Nathan?
Well, Tamush is in there first, so maybe we go to him first. I don't know. Up to you.
All right, then. Well, Nathan, I'll let you talk to Samash Gal then.
Oh, thank you. So, Tamush, well done. P2, finally a much-needed P2. Obviously, only sitting on 1 point before today. Now you can take home an extra 12. So, well done. How did that race go for you?
It went really well. It is one of my worst tracks, so I was really surprised about my pace around here. I managed to race very well. Played it well. Didn't do any mistakes, dumb mistakes. Didn't go into overtakes, which wouldn't have made sense, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I managed it well.
Yeah, and obviously looking in the chat in Discord, it seems there's lots of people angry about the driving standards. For you, was it clean, or do you think there's definitely things to be worked on with other drivers?
I mean,
battling?
I didn't battle anyone, so on my side it was clean. I saw Mirko and Simon battling behind, which wasn't that clean, but yeah. I think there will be a lot of penalties behind.
Yeah, and obviously now finally that consistency up and get more podiums as we go through. Obviously we've got Qatar next week, and then I believe after that we've got Austria. What are those tracks like? Do you enjoy them, or are they not one of your strongest?
Qatar and Austria are one of my best, I think, like one lap pace wise. So yeah,
So
I will try to finish every race on the podium at least, or like close to podium, if not podium.
And do you think a win's possible anywhere? Is there any tracks you think that possibly if we race at them you could get yourself a victory?
Qatar is possible, also Austria. But yeah, we will see. Qatar is really important to have a good qualifying position. Like you can't really overtake there. So quali will be very important, and Austria it will be just like DRS chicken, or how you say it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, anything else from you, Dan, quickly before we let Tamas go?
No questions from me, Tamas, but really well done on your podium this evening. I hope that in future rounds we can be talking to you once again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you to Tamas Gal for joining us in the commentary box. Now we've got Duncan Hoffland in the interview room. Duncan, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dan.
All right, perfect. You are loud and clear on my end. Let's talk first about your qualifying. How'd that go for you?
Very well, to be honest. I struggled in the final sector, but I still managed to do a lap which was only 200ths of my PB, so I can be proud of that, I think. Was struggling a bit more previous races, but it's good to see I can still qualify up front.
Yeah, and coming into this race, you opted to start on the hard compound of tyres, and by the end of it, you had the best tyres out of everyone. What was sort of dictating your strategy call there?
Well, if everyone ahead of me would have gone on softs, I would probably have followed. But at the end, I saw that Max and Flores still went for hards, so I decided to do the same, also hards, and then go pretty long, because usually there are a lot of battles at the end of the race, so the field will slow down. And if you have the freshest tires, then you can make moves at the end quite easily. And that's why I also went into the final lap in P5 and still managed to get a podium at the end. So yeah, that's it paid off.
And with this podium and a few potential good results in the future, you could be poising yourself for a championship fight come the end of the season. Heading into Qatar next week, though, how are you feeling with that track?
Well, I've done a lot of open lobbies around Qatar, and usually it's always chaos around there. So let's see how it will be the next week. But I will miss 3 races this season for a holiday, so it will be tough to still get championship. But I will try my best, maximizing the results, and see where we end.
Yeah, well, really well done this evening. Sorry, I'm losing my words. You definitely kept us entertained with a lot of your dive bombs in difficult places. So really well done from me, though. But Nathan, anything you'd like to say to Duncan?
Yeah. Just one thing. Obviously, you pitted onto mediums, whereas Max pitted onto softs. Do you think that you just had some better pace, or do you think that it was actually a difference between the mediums and the softs there near the end? The softs getting a bit more worn.
Well, I was very happy Max went on softs, but you need your tires to be quick at the end, because that's the moment you want to make the moves. So that's the crucial part, to have the best tires. So I was sort of surprised he went for softs, because then at the start of the stint he was very quick and I could follow, and that was basically perfect. But at the end he was dropping off, and I think if he would have gone for mediums, he could have gone for the win as well, because at the end he just couldn't really go for moves anymore and he was basically stuck in traffic.
Yeah, but that is all from me anyway. So, Duncan, thanks for joining us, and well done on the podium, and we hope to see you again next time.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one. Night. There we are. So, the interviews. Yet again, Dan, I've got to say, every race we've had interviews every time, which is nice to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good to interact with our drivers at the end of a very hard-fought race. I'll bring us back over to the intermission scene so you can get us back on your screens once again. But Nathan, coming to the end of this one, it was a very hard-fought race.
It was, and yet again, another great race, another race with questionable driving standards according to many drivers. Obviously, I didn't see certain parts. Obviously, some drivers were moaning about different incidents that we didn't see. So I'll probably have a little look later and have a little look through the stewards' inquiries, because they're going to be quite full. And this time, it doesn't seem like Flores will be the one putting in the report. It seems Max and Mirko seem very annoyed indeed. But it is what it is, and we end another round here in F2. And well, we have a very interesting championship, because we've got a reserve driver leading. Going into round 4, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Wesley's been very strong throughout the entire season. He's always been fighting at the front of the order, and he's well deserving of this championship lead. So I think that he is the one to take the fight to Mirko Soriano, who had a bit of a down day. He was definitely involved in a lot of incidents. He's been very vocal on the Discord about his opinion on some other drivers. So I think the stewards are going to be very busy this evening with looking at those inquiries. But other than that, Nathan, don't think we have anything else to talk about today.
No, nothing for end anyway. And thanks, Dan, for being alongside me as usual. And thanks everyone in the chat for being here. But yeah, that is all from me.
Yep, I second that. Thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've just surpassed 37,000 subscribers, so thank you everyone very much for helping us hit that milestone. If you want more PSGL action, you can check out our Twitter and Instagram. It'll be at PremierSimGL. And if you want to keep up to date with all your PSGL news, you can check out the Discord server. The link is in the description. Thank you to GT Omega for sponsoring our stream. We are heading to Qatar next week here in PCF2. But from us tonight, that is all. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good night.
Good night.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside. Up here is through on the left hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the ghost is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.